Okay, imagine this. Your old boss believes in you so much, he personally invests $2 million into your brand new company. He becomes your first board member. You call him your mentor, your close friend. And then years later, he's on stage calling your company an itty-bitty application. And you're firing back, calling his entire product line the false cloud. That's not a hypothetical. That's just Tuesday for Marc Benioff and Larry Ellison. This is a story of Salesforce versus Oracle, but really, it's a story of two guys who used to be really close and then spent over a decade very publicly hating each other. So let's rewind to the 90s. Benioff joins Oracle at 23 years old, and he's good, like really good. Rookie of the year in his first year. By 26, he's the youngest VP in Oracle's history. People around the office actually used to joke he might be Ellison's nephew. That's how close they were. Then, in 1999, Benioff decides to leave and start his own thing. Some scrappy idea about running business software entirely through a web browser instead of installing it on 100 different office computers. Sounds obvious now, but at that time, it sounded borderline insane. And here's the twist. Ellison doesn't just wish him well. He writes a $2 million check, becomes Salesforce's first board member, even lets Benioff keep a foot at Oracle while the new company gets off the ground. This is peak mentor energy. But it would not stay that way. Here's where things take a turn. Benioff eventually finds out Ellison had quietly started building Oracle's own competing CRM product, the exact space Salesforce was built for. Not exactly the move you expect from your mentor and board member. And once that trust cracks, these two do not do quiet grudges. They do public ones, loud ones, conference keynote ones. By 2009, Ellison's out there calling Salesforce an itty-bitty application that only works because it's secretly running on Oracle's own database technology underneath. Benioff's response? He starts calling Oracle's cloud offering the false cloud repeatedly, on stage for years, like a nickname he refuses to let die. And then it gets pettier. In 2011, Ellison actually pulls Benioff's scheduled keynote from Oracle's own conference, cancels it with basically a day's notice. Benioff claps back publicly, saying Ellison's out of touch with where the industry is actually heading. Ellison's response to that? He called Salesforce the Roach Motel of clouds, meaning your data checks in, but it can't check out. I want you to sit with that for a second. Two of the most powerful executives in enterprise software, spending actual keynote time at actual industry conferences, calling each other's products bug motels and itty-bitty apps. This is billionaire beef, and it's petty. Now here's the part that makes the story actually great instead of just messy. It doesn't just end in mutual destruction. In 2013, after years of very public sniping, Oracle and Salesforce announced a 9-year partnership. Actual business cooperation. The exes who spent a decade trash-talking each other at conferences just decided to work together. And then in 2020, Salesforce market cap actually overtakes Oracle's, the student surpassing the teacher in real financial terms. Benioff, when asked about Oracle around that time, basically says he doesn't even think of them as a competitor anymore. And just to bring it full circle, in 2023, during a rough stretch for Salesforce, Benioff tells investors he's been talking to Ellison again, and that Salesforce is going to start following what he calls the Oracle playbook. The student surpasses the teacher, only to call him for advice anyway. That's not a corporate rivalry. That's a full-on family drama, just with quarterly earning calls instead of holiday dinners. Two billionaires, a decade of petty public trash talk, and an ultimate truce. That's enterprise software, everybody. This is Tech Stack Breakdown. Subscribe.